Welcome to Carousel Classroom. Today we're going to teach you how to give an awesome lunge lesson. You can see Nirvana here, tacked up and ready for his lunging. The side reins are attached to the bit below the reins and above the girth to the saddle. They are put at a length that is appropriate for Nirvana's level of training. The lunge line goes through the bit, up behind his ears, and attaches to the other side of the bit. This gives Ariel maximum control. You can also see that we have tied the reins through the throat latch. In an emergency, Natalia would have control of Nirvana's mouth if she needed to grab the reins, but the reins are secure so that there's no chance that he can get caught in them. Both side reins are the same length. Remember, safety is number one. So if your horse is not used to lunging with side reins, please lunge him first without the rider to be sure that you've picked the appropriate length of side reins for him to go in good balance. Here you see Natalia is up riding with her stirrups already adjusted at the appropriate length. Ariel has the lunge line in the right hand and the lunge whip in the left hand. Ariel will be in control of Nirvana's pace. Now that leaves Natalia free to think about her position and let her body swing independent of any kind of controls. Get used to how the horse's body moves through our body. Lunging is such a fantastic tool to learn this. You can learn your independent seat, and by independent we mean independent from our hands, but also independent from the horse. It's not necessary to aid the horse with a driving seat 100% of the time. Also should not be necessary to push your horse in the gates with your legs all the time. When we're lunging, the lunge person has control of the horse's pace. If he needs to go a little more forward, Ariel is responsible for that. This way, Natalia can just concentrate on letting the trot move through her body and not having to create a trot. You can see here that she has very good starting position. She's allowing the trot to move through her ankles, her knees, and her hips. Ariel will make small corrections as we go along, making sure that Natalia keeps this good position as we make the exercises a little bit more difficult. However, it's important that the lunge person doesn't constantly nag and give commands, but instead lets the rider feel the horse and understand what her body needs to do in order to achieve this good position. By being too aggressive in your commands, it's possible that the horse and rider don't feel that nice swing that can come from a more peaceful lesson. As Natalia gets used to Nirvana's trot, then she begins to change her posting diagonal periodically around the circle. It's important that Nirvana's pace does not change as Natalia does this. When the pace doesn't change, that shows us that Nirvana is accepting Natalia's seat in the saddle and that Natalia's lower back is nice and soft and her hips are accepting the bounce of the trot. If the horse does get tight and changes, then the rider needs to acknowledge this and try to work at keeping her hips more loose, thighs nice and long, feeling the stirrups, and the lower back must be allowed to swing with the trot. As the rider gets more fluent with changing the posting diagonal, then they can move on to sitting more steps in a row. But relaxation is the most important thing here. So go along slowly and make sure that you really feel that the posting trot feels good and that changing the posting diagonal is working out. When that's working, extend the amount of sitting trot steps, but continue posting periodically to keep those hip joints open and loose and that your thighs don't have to hold on. The bounce needs to go through the ankles and the knees and the hips. When these joints are stiff, then we're going to need to hold on with some part of our body, and that is the beginning of tension. You can see that Natalia does not hold on to the saddle. If the rider is less experienced, holding on to the saddle is completely acceptable. Pulling yourself into the saddle should not be necessary, but just putting your hand on the saddle to stabilize yourself and to prevent any tension in the thighs is okay. Thank you so much for joining us for Carousel Classroom. In the next episode, we will show you more exercises